Hey, I'm Julian, and this is FutureNow. We need to talk about the power consumption of NFTs and cryptocurrency and how to solve it without banning it. And thank you to Brilliant for sponsoring this video, more on them later. Earlier this year, when the internet was obsessed with NFTs for a week, I made a video explaining what the heck an NFT is, how the technology works, and toward the end of the video, explained how energy intensive NFTs are to create and trade, mainly based on its underlying cryptocurrency platform called Ethereum. If all of that just sounded like gibberish, you should go watch my NFT explainer. Well, I'm not really going to do a deep dive into what an NFT is. I'll start with some basics for those of you who still didn't watch the other video. It's a unique digital item that holds and sometimes accrues value you can exchange with someone else for money. There are a bunch of different applications for the technology, from selling digital art to selling insurance. And people are still making millions of dollars selling this stuff, showing NFTs were not a fad that's just gonna go away. NFTs themselves are bought and sold primarily on the Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum is the second biggest cryptocurrency after Bitcoin, and many other altcoins like Dogecoin are just forks of Ethereum. Because of that, I'm mainly going to focus this video on Ethereum and Bitcoin, why they consume so much power, and some potential solutions to the problem. For any creation of a new coin, aka minting, and verification of blocks of transactions that happen on the blockchain, computers worldwide compete to verify the transactions. These computers are doing this by attempting to solve increasingly more complicated math problems, like really complicated math problems that require a lot of computing power to solve. The reward for being the first to solve a problem correctly is some Bitcoin or Ethereum, depending on what the computer is mining, which is what this computer-driven problem solving is called. As I explained in the last video, the system is excellent at ensuring that people can't make fraudulent transactions on the blockchain. The reason being that doing so would take a ridiculous amount of expensive computing power, lots of luck, and likely not be worth it. Unfortunately, this system also requires these mining operations to need ever more computing power, which requires lots of electricity, which is largely still produced worldwide by fossil fuels. And the higher the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other crypto coins get, the more miners join the network, trying to earn some using up even more energy. Bitcoin and Ethereum mining has become such a big business that there are many companies with entire warehouses full of computers working on it around the world. This makes it more than a drop in the bucket when we talk about its negative environmental impact and contribution to climate change. When I made the last NFT video in February, an average single transaction on the Ethereum blockchain used up 48 kilowatt hours of power if you were to divide annual consumption by the number of transactions. As of today, it's 150 kilowatt hours, so it's tripled in 7 months, and is equivalent to the power consumption of an average US household over 5 days. Again, that's for one transaction. The site that tracks this data, which I've linked in the description, also provides an estimated carbon footprint of a single transaction, which is currently 71.25 kilograms of CO2. Apparently, that's the same carbon footprint as about 160,000 Visa transactions. The current annual power consumption of Ethereum is roughly equal to the entire country of Algeria, which has a population of 43.9 million people. Bitcoin is way worse than that. A single Bitcoin transaction consumes as much power as the average US household does in about 2 months. The carbon footprint of which is equal to about 1.8 million Visa transactions. Annually, Bitcoin mining consumes more power than Argentina, and about 60% of what Australia consumes. Many of you no doubt have your own opinions as to whether or not Bitcoin and Ethereum as a technology are worth that ever-growing massive power consumption. I personally don't think it is, but that's not exactly the point of this video. I don't think cryptocurrency is going anywhere, and frankly, I can see its utility. That leaves us with the other option, figuring out how to make crypto mining less harmful to the environment, either by making it run entirely on renewable energy, or preferably by moving away from proof of work toward a less energy-intensive method for verifying transactions and minting Bitcoin and Ethereum. Thankfully, that's actually feasible, and we'll get to that in a moment, but if you want to learn more about cryptocurrencies, including how exactly proof of work, works, you need to check out Brilliant's course on it. If you complete this course, you'll be way ahead of the average person when talking about crypto. The fact you can find interactive lessons on topics like this is why I love Brilliant and why they make it so easy to recommend their platform. It's been a big help when researching many of the video topics I cover on the channel and has the additional benefit of being fun. And Brilliant has recently upped the interactivity on their platform to a new level. Learning by interacting with things definitely helps my ADHD brain actually retain the information I'm learning. If there's any math, science, or computer-related topics you want to learn about more deeply, Brilliant is a great way to do it with structure, but at your own pace. If you want to join me and millions of other curious people on Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/futurenow and sign up for free. Plus, the first 200 of you that go to that link will get 20% off their annual premium subscription. Thank you, Brilliant. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. When the carbon footprint of crypto mining is brought up, many defend it by saying that many miners of Bitcoin and Ethereum use renewable energy sources like wind or solar rather than fossil fuels like coal. And that's actually not untrue. In fact, depending on where in the world they're located or how large their mining operation is, crypto miners may be incentivized to use renewable energy because it's cheaper than non-renewable energy and the energy cost is their highest expenditure. So the lower they can get it, the higher their profit. And more recently, China cracked down on crypto mining to reduce the use of coal energy and help them reach their climate goals. China is the #1 country in terms of the total share of worldwide crypto mining. And until recently, most were located in the areas of the country where coal is the predominant source of energy. And in seeking the cheapest energy possible, some miners have moved operations to countries like Iceland to use what's called stranded energy. When more energy is produced than can be used, it is stranded energy, and if it isn't used, it'll be wasted because battery technology has not yet reached a level where the extra energy can all be stored for later use. So if this energy is bought and used by crypto miners, they're actually using energy, renewable or not, that would otherwise be wasted anyway. But stranded energy is by no means the primary source of energy. And when looking at the world's total energy mix, still only about a third of electrical energy is generated by renewables. So it'll be a long time before crypto mining can solely rely on renewable energy. And unfortunately, renewables aren't always the cheapest source of energy. There have been cases of Bitcoin miners reviving previously obsolete coal plants to power their crypto mining, including a coal plant right here in the state of Montana that was set to close before plans to build a giant Bitcoin mining operation next to it were made. On top of that, when not using stranded energy, these operations compete for energy with other businesses and people in the area they're located in, which could affect the electrical grid's reliability and raise energy costs for everyone. I don't think the renewable energy use line of argument should be discarded because I do think it matters that not all crypto mining uses the most harmful energy sources. And I think the fact that they're incentivized to use renewable energy to lower costs is a great demonstration of the economic utility of renewable energy, even beyond ethical environmental reasons. But at the end of the day, why waste tons of energy in any form if there's an alternative? What if we could mine Bitcoin and Ethereum without using the incredible amount of energy the proof-of-work blockchain system requires? Well, we actually can, and many other cryptocurrencies are already doing so. There's an alternative to proof-of-work called proof-of-stake that still allows for secure, decentralized verification of transactions on a network without as massive of an energy drain. Unlike proof of work, proof of stake, no, not that kind of stake, does not require massive computing power and is not based on hardware potential, but rather on software. Theoretically, you could set up a proof of stake mining operation on a laptop, as opposed to, a 20,000 square foot data center. I put mining in air quotes because technically under proof of stake, people are not mining crypto because they're not working to solve a block to get rewarded like in proof of work. Instead, you must stake or deposit a certain amount of money to get a spot on the network. Then the proof of stake algorithm chooses one of these people called validators at random to validate a transaction on the network. That person is then rewarded with some crypto. The more money someone stakes, the higher their chances of getting chosen as a validator, and therefore the higher their chances of making more. But what makes this secure? What's stopping a validator from accepting fraudulent transactions? Well, it's actually pretty similar to what stops someone from doing this in the current proof of work system of Bitcoin and Ethereum. In proof of work, you need to control at least 51% of the network to get away with fraud. As I mentioned before, the cost of this is so astronomical and difficult to achieve that it's all but impossible for any one person, or even a group of people, therefore ensuring the network is secure. With proof of stake, someone would need to control 51% of all the cryptocurrency in the network. With Bitcoin's current market value, that would run you over $500 billion, or just over $230 billion for Ethereum. So not even Jeff Bezos can afford to commit fraud in a hypothetical proof of stake Bitcoin or Ethereum network. Not to mention that if fraud were to be uncovered, the coin price would likely plummet, and the billionaire fraudster would lose a lot. When someone wants to exit the network and take out their stake and earnings, their validated transactions are checked to ensure none are fraudulent. If any are found, they could lose some or all of their stake and earnings. Basically, it's really not worth it, which is what makes the system so secure. Proof of stake is therefore way more energy efficient because it doesn't require ever-growing energy used by computers to keep the network secure. It can also be argued that it makes the network even more decentralized, a key tenet of cryptocurrencies. This is because without the need for complicated hardware, anyone can theoretically become a proof of stake validator with whatever computer they already have. Meanwhile, Bitcoin and Ethereum miners are currently joining together in what they call mining pools to combine their computational power and mine more, which they then evenly split among the group. But this means that just a few of these pools control huge portions of the total network. If a few of these giant pools merge into one, they could control more than half of the network and therefore begin transacting fraudulently. There isn't much incentive to create these pools in proof of stake. And the creators of the Ethereum platform happen to agree that it's incredibly wasteful and have been promising to move over to proof of stake network basically since Ethereum was created. Unfortunately, it's proving more complicated than initially expected, so it hasn't happened yet. They do have a working model of it called Casper though, and with it are able to estimate that proof of stake would use about 99.95% less energy. Seeing as there are literally billions of dollars worth of Ethereum at stake here, no pun intended, the technology has to be absolutely airtight before Ethereum 2.0 based on proof of stake becomes a reality. Or, as it's known among the Ethereum community, the merge. That is, the moment the proof of work network merges into the proof of stake network. As I mentioned earlier though, Bitcoin is still the largest cryptocurrency out there, and it consumes way more energy than Ethereum does. Unfortunately, there are no plans for Bitcoin to switch over to proof of stake. Some people believe though that if Ethereum is able to successfully transition to proof of stake and prove its efficacy and safety, then pressure will mount for Bitcoin to follow suit. So here's hoping it works, and soon. I'd like to be able to take part in crypto, and in particular NFTs, because I really do think it's an amazing technology for art, but without the guilt that I'm supporting something so environmentally destructive. Please be kind in the comments, and I'll see you in the future. And prove its efficacy. Efficacy. Why did I use that word? Okay. Whew, done.